Hi, in this video, I'm just going to show you an example of blended or flipping the technique that I used in my listening and speaking 073 class last semester, and I will be using this lesson again in summer in my hybrid class. Chapter 4 of the book that I'm using, it's called The Quest, and I think people who use the book know that the unit on global economics is quite complex. In fact, the content of that lecture is quite difficult unless the students listen to it a number of times. And as we all know, the class time doesn't permit for us to do this very much. Even though my class met twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but still the time was never enough to do what I wanted to do. So I thought of using the blending or the flipping to see if I can help the students understand the concepts better and be prepared even before they come to the class and listen to the lecture. So the first part of the unit was about outsourcing and also the globalization and how we have McDonald's and KFC and other American places everywhere around the globe. So before they came to the Tuesday's class, they had to go to the book and complete a vocabulary exercise, which we all do in our traditional classes. The other task they had to do was watch these two YouTube videos. One was the McDonald's, in India, and also a commercial for McDonald's in Japan, just for them to understand how those look like in other countries. And when they came to class, we had a very interesting discussion on how McDonald's and KFC have catered to the local market or the local population. And they talked about how the menu is different, or they call it the burger, but what's inside the burger kind of caters to the local taste. So we got into this whole idea of globalization and how these things have spread and who can afford such places in their countries. Why do people want to go to those? So it kind of launched off into a whole discussion on globalization itself. The homework was for them to, before they came to the next class, when they were going to listen to the lecture on the economic systems, they had to watch this YouTube video. And I'm just going to play very briefly so you can see how she explains these terms in very simple manner for them to understand.
Hi, it's me again. Today we're going to be talking about economic systems. Before I begin to talk about the economic systems, let's review what the definition of economics is. Remember, in economics we study how individuals and societies seek to satisfy their needs and wants through incentives, choices, and allocation of scarce resources. We know that we have to make choices. We've talked about that. We can't have it all. But how is a society going to choose what we do have and what we don't have? Well, for this, they set up economic systems. These systems are set up specifically to answer the three economic questions. Now, these three questions are: what should we produce? How should we produce it? And who should get it? And there's
Okay, let me stop it there, and you can listen to the video on your own. And in fact, the three questions that she talked about are exactly the three questions that they're going to hear in the lecture, because that's how he proceeds to explain the economic systems as well. And their task was to listen to the video and take notes on the definitions and concepts of the concepts and different economic systems that they listened to. And I had asked them to bring the notes to the class, and I said after we discuss it, I'm going to collect the notes. This was my way of making sure that they would listen to this video, and I would know immediately who didn't listen. And they also had to complete discussion, which was also graded. And this discussion was to what type of economic system is common in their country and whether it is working well or why not. So, and you can, I'm just going to scroll down to show you samples of what they discussed. And one person said the market economic system is common in Haiti, but Haiti is a poor country. But the bigger problem is because we import more than we export. And then somebody else said market economy is good for countries. And then another person was from Pakistan, and she said the market economy is going down in my country, and because of government leaders and the political stunts, everything is going from bad to worst. So you can see they are engaged in discussing the different economic systems even before they have listened to the lecture, and they're thinking about it. So their critical thinking skills are enhanced, and they're talking about these terms. And their other task was to kind of be prepared for the vocabulary that they're going to hear in the lecture. So I gave them a list of the words, and I said some of the words they heard on the video. For others, they could do an internet search and find out the definitions. And their task was to write the definition in their own words and submit them as part of the assignment. And they had to submit it on Canvas before they came to class the following, the Tuesday. So, in other words, they were constantly thinking about the topic and doing something and engaging with each other in the discussion on the topic. So, to me, that was how I could maximize the use of this blending and flipping technique. So when they came to the class, the next class, and we discussed and used the lecture and listened to it and took notes, normally that lecture would have taken me 2 to 3 classes because it's a very difficult lecture, and I would have to play it a couple times each section and spend time explaining. But this time around, I didn't have to do that. I played it once, and then we talked about the notes they took, and they were able to explain those terms very well because they had already heard what market capitalism was and what central economic system was, and they knew, they had discussed it. So understanding the lecture was quite easy. And while they were using the notes and discussing with each other, I could walk around and see if anybody else was struggling in understanding the concepts, and I could explain and help those students. There were 1 or 2, but the rest were absolutely comfortable. And I think sequencing the activities and using this blended flipping technique helped me as a teacher to, make it easy for them to understand this complex lecture. I'm not an economics teacher, but watching these YouTube videos helped me to understand. So it helped them to understand, and I could explain it too. So it kind of helped me as a teacher and helped them as students. But I also realized that it is very important when you use the blended flipping technique, the sequencing of activities is extremely important. That is, I had to plan what I wanted them to do before the class, what I was going to do during the class, and what I wanted them to do after the class. So after they listen to the lecture, they will see this in the next week's assignment. They had to record for me and kind of summarize the main points of the lecture. And I asked them to record their speech so I could listen and correct their pronunciation. So this was just an example to show how flipping works and works well. Thanks.